right, here is the video review for Studio Series 114 Transformers 1 Megatron. And I'm super stoked to have this. It came in, you've probably seen, if you've watched the channel, you saw the box that came the other day. A lot of reviewers and influencers and Transformers sites and supporters got a giant promotional package of Transformers 1 stuff the other day. A lot of it arrived yesterday on Transformers Day. It's Wednesday night. I'm shooting this. I'm going to see. I saw Transformers 1 on Saturday. It's fantastic. I do highly recommend going and seeing it. I really enjoyed it. My wife really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. And I'm going to see it again tomorrow night, Thursday night, at another screening. Because I bought that ticket first, and then I was able to make it to the early screening on Saturday after all. So yeah, I did. I'm going to see it twice. Anyway, it's worth it. I'm happy to see it again. And there's a couple things I'm going to look for in the next watch through just to see if I can confirm it. But anyway, here is Studio Series Megatron. He is kind of a, I don't know if this counts as an H-tank because he doesn't really come back, but like he's a Cybertronian tank vehicle thing. And I do have one minor complaint, although this may look, and that's one of the things I'm going to check in the movie because I don't think he looks like this in tank mode at the end. There's one little minor thing, especially when we get to robot mode, but we'll talk about that. I'm going to try to do this without any spoilers, major or minor. And certainly nothing that hasn't been seen in trailers and promotional images that have been all over Twitter and the internet this week. But anyway, here he is in tank mode. He doesn't have wheels. He just kind of sits there and rolls. His turret can kind of rotate, but the pivot point is way back here. And my one minor nitpick here in vehicle mode is that the way he transforms, and I don't know why they did it this way, and we'll talk about that when we get to that point of the transformation, is that if you lift this up too high, you can kind of see his robot mode head just sitting there, facing out. And it has to face out the way this is designed, and I'll show you why. But that's a little bit of an odd choice. But outside of that, if it was just sitting there and it's low enough, it kind of covers the face from a lot of angles. Now you can kind of see his chest here. It's an interesting looking tank, but it's fairly accurate to what you see on screen. Yeah, and these are just pegged in so you can raise this up. You can angle these up or down as well. One of the I just unpegged that. Well, there's unpegging everything here. This actually just pegs in. Right here you can see what I'm talking about with the robot mode head though. We'll peg this back on. We'll peg this back in under here. But one of the other alt modes or in the instructions is you can take these guns and you can plug them in here on either side of the leg, which is neat for a secondary position for him, but in my mind, it just makes this turret a little thinner and makes the face more visible in alt mode unless you put this really all the way down. So it's entirely up to you. I think they look better here on the turret, but your mileage may vary depending on your own personal preference. To transform them, we'll go ahead and pop these off. You can actually leave these on the turret during transformation. You just got to be a little careful with them, but they actually peg in fairly securely. But to transform, we'll go ahead and lift this up and we'll pop this whole cannon off. This little tab right here pegs in right back there. You can see. And then we'll kind of lift this up like this. And then we're going to take these arm pieces. There's a little, you can see there's a little, we're actually going to rotate them all the way around like this. But you can see there's a little slot here and a tab in here to hold it together in tank mode. Rotate this around like this. And then this whole head assembly here, well, not the head, the arms assembly flips onto the back. And you want to flip this all the way down. You can see there's a tab here it's going to lock onto. And this is why we're talking about the robot head, because you can see there's a little cutout here that fits into this rotating piece here. And his head has to sit all the way in there for this to snap into place properly. And the only way his head sits all the way in that space is there's a slot in the back of his head that goes on this tab in here. His head does lock in. So they made it so he locks in with his head facing out. And if this tab wasn't there, and you probably could cut it out, you can almost get his head all the way down. It kind of clicks into place, but it doesn't click in quite as flat as it needs to be for this to come up properly. You can see, if you bring this up, push his head in all the way against that tab, aside from the fact that you could simply scratch his face paint, this doesn't quite get to the point of locking in under the arm unless you bend it. So that's a little bit of a shame. Like you have to, and again, this is pegs on. You have to have the face facing out, which, like I said, reveals it in vehicle mode. You'd still be, the back of his head would still be visible in vehicle mode this way, but it wouldn't be as weird as his face sticking out. But that's a minor nitpick. Overall, I like the figure. But the backpack comes down and rotates around. This tabs in here, and then you see these tabs right here will tab in to the side of his robot body. They don't go deep, but they do peg in and kind of hold the backpack secure here. I do like that both he and Prime, granted his just tabs on, whereas Prime is hinged, but I like how they both have a bit on their back that flips up and rotates around to cover their head in alt mode. Just a little similarity thing. The arms, bring them out like that. And then down here, unpeg the legs, untab the legs from this chest plate. And this lifts up. It's going to come up here first, and it also locks in right here, so you want to make sure you lift the whole thing, unpeg it, fold it up, and snap it onto the chest. The legs rotate around to the back, or you can just rotate out to the side for the time being. But this piece right here lifts up, unpegs from here, and the foot rotates. The tank tread lifts up, foot rotates down, tread folds into the leg, foot flips forward, and then this piece comes down and clips on. It doesn't clip all the way in. Like, this piece does not go in this groove. You just kind of rotate around like that, and then you lift the leg up to the side, and then bring it down at the hip. And then do the same thing to the other leg. Down, then lift it up, bring it down. There he's standing, then unpeg his arms from back here, bring them down, rotate them around, and then rotate the fist from the tread up like that. Oops, pop this head off. Easy peasy. And then his cannon, you pull this, I mean, you can attach it as the full piece, which looks a little silly and a little long because like this much of it is hidden in tank mode. But if you want to have this whole cannon on his arm, you can. This piece right here can come off and attach to his left arm as a smaller cannon. Sorry, it's not a peg, it tabs in there. Like that, so you can give him 2 arm cannons. And this piece can also, if you don't want to have it on his arm at all, you can lift this up, and instead of sticking it in with this piece for this little tab right here, this gap fits over the tab, and this little tab goes into this little slot here on the backpack. So you can just store it all on his backpack. Much nicer than Prime stores his weapons in robot mode. So it does give some stuff on his back hanging off a little bit, but cleans up the robot mode very nicely. Like I said, my one minor complaint, if you've seen any of the promotional images, and in a lot, it's in several of the trailers, this cannon, for his full final Megatron form, this is the wrong cannon. There's a, I think well, there's one of the companies I just saw on Facebook today is making a screen accurate cannon to plug into his arm, although it doesn't look like it works in tank mode, but we'll see how that turns out. I just saw one preview pic of it earlier today. But it's still, this is a cannon he has in the film. It's just not the final evolution of it when he fully, becomes who he is in the movie. But it still looks cool. You can also, somebody asked, you can also take this piece off. If you want to use one of these smaller cannons, you can either give it to him as a hand weapon, or you can plug it in as a smaller cannon here on his left arm. Oh, come on. It's a shorter peg than everything else, so you really got to kind of push it in. There we go, So if you want to have that, you can as well. Posability-wise, he's got a ball joint at the neck, although his helmet precludes a little bit of that movement, and then the hinge that it's on lets him look down quite a bit, actually, into his chest. He's got ball joints at the shoulders, bicep swivel. He's got dual hinged elbows, wrist swivel. He's got a waist swivel, ball joint hips. He's got a thigh swivel. He's got ankle tilt and some front to back on his feet. He also does have knees. They lock in place very securely. I was worried I was going to break it at first, but you hear that click. Once you unclick it, he does actually have posable knees, and you can leave that unclicked and still have him stand up if you just want to have it as easy access posing, and don't want to have to pop it like that every time, because like I said, the first couple times you do it, it is a little scary, but you can give him a little bit of a slightly bent knee and leave those joints free here in robot mode, but like I said, about a little over 90-degree hinge on the knee. But all in all, it's a really nice looking Megatron. Camera's been drifted. And fairly accurate to the, I mean, robot mode looks fairly accurate to the film. His hip pieces in the movie come out a little bigger, which is why his legs, like these are like hip armor here, and that's why his legs look a little longer. But they honestly look, from some angles, if you hold him from below, he does look like he has really long legs, but they're actually fairly in proportion here on the toy. And even the feet, someone was asking about the feet. He's got normal sized feet. I don't know. I haven't seen any pictures where he's got really long feet or disproportionate feet, but they're not any bigger or weirder than Prime. So I think he looks really nice. He's really nicely proportioned in robot mode and a really nice looking Megatron. Speaking of Optimus, there's the two of them side by side. We did get a Studio Series Optimus in the big promo box as well. I'm not going to be reviewing every single thing out of that promo box, but I'm going to do some highlights. And obviously, I'm not going to do the Optimus Prime. I did it. I picked it up at retail a while back, and I've already reviewed that figure a couple months ago. But there they are together, and they look really nice. Transformers Day was this week. Elita 1 and Bumblebee went up for pre-order, as well as the Voyager Sentinel Prime. Sentinel Prime's actually a pretty major character in the movie. And he's got his full battle mode and regular mode and jet mode, which is kind of cool. I did actually get some of the Prime changes. I went out and got a Sentinel Prime today. This one came in Optimus came in the promo box, but we're going to review those in a minute. But yeah, like I said, Megatron has much more solid storage here in this backpack, whereas Prime, like his axe pegs in this weird sideways way, so it sticks out more than it really should off his back. And then this little gun weapon kind of weirdly sits in here. Like, I can't even remember how you got it in there, but it sits in there not well and falls out very easily. And I was right earlier on when I said I'm just gonna, can't remember how you did it. Can't remember, something like that, but it sits under there, but it doesn't stick. And also, I said I'm just going to throw this off to the side. I didn't like how hard it was to unpeg if you pushed it all the way in vehicle mode. And if you didn't push it all the way in, it looked weird. And I think I'm going to confirm, and this is not a huge spoiler or going to ruin the movie for anybody, I think he only uses these guns very briefly in one scene. I think they're on screen for maybe a second and a half tops. I could be wrong on that. There's a lot of stuff going on in some of the fight scenes, but I don't think you even really see these in the movie. So I have no problem putting those in a parts bin and leaving them there. The axe does play a bigger role in the film. But anyway, there is Studio Series Megatron from Transformers 1. The movie's great. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about it. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't 100% perfect, but it was pretty good. And I was really happy with it. My wife walked out of it liking it, and that's a good measure of how solid of a movie it is, because she didn't even bother to watch any of the last few live action movies, because they were, the last few live action movies. Although I will say Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast got better, but no. Anyway, there's Studio Series Megatron. Again, thanks to Hasbro for sending this along in that giant promotional box. We've got a lot of the TF1 toy line and the gimmick things. I gotta say, Megatron, coolest figure in the box for just cool factor. The big power flip Optimus Prime might be the funnest toy I've played with in Transformers in a while. It's got some neat gimmicks, and just as a toy, it's not the best action figure as a whole, but as a toy, it's really, really fun. Anyway, there's Studio Series 114 Megatron from Transformers 1. Definitely pick it up when you get the chance. See the movie when you get the chance, because he's a really solid Megatron, and it's a really solid movie. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.